For the past few weeks, we've been traveling to Chicago to Canada, and it's easy to talk now since the stress is a little bit over, but apart from quite badly organized health system and PCRs, people passing control, apart from all the paperwork stress, we did had some things to enjoy, and mostly it was eating and food. However, I did try to check out some bookshops, which I'm going to be talking about in this vlog, and other thing to definitely mention and discourage anyone from traveling. Time is quite stressful, COVID numbers are still rising, and if it wasn't a visit for family, I would strongly recommend staying home and be safe. We spend our time in Chicago eating around, eating deep dish pizza, trying new things. The happiest surprise was the pancakes are easily accessible and the strange mixed Garrett's popcorn. Yesterday we did manage to come from Chicago to Canada, and I just wanted to talk about books I brought over from Chicago. And first one was The Chosen and the Beautiful, and has a lovely local author sticker. The author was originating from Illinois. I got it from the big bookstore called Afterwards New and Used Books, and is place where some books are donated, some books are new. However, when I spoke to the counter person about the book, she didn't look excited. She was like, "Oh, this book." And the other part of the book that I don't like, well, a lot of people are speaking about this book, and it's not available as far as it looked in UK. That's why I wanted to get it outside. However, under the dust jacket is quite plain looking, which is not as exciting because the dust jacket is adorable. It's a retelling of Great Gatsby with an Asian female protagonist who was seen at that time as exotic, and I think it would be a nice read. And other bookstore we visited was called Barbara's Bookstore. I didn't quite get to buy anything from there, as a lot of books looked quite readily available in UK, but I did get a notebook, a Ghibli based notebook, and it has little pictures in pages, right, as well as some bigger illustrations. And I do like buying notebooks, but sometimes we end up with gifts for others. Also, since we now arrived in Canada, I'm gonna try and plan to check out bookstores here. It's also worthwhile mentioning that a Barbara's Bookstore also had huge Ghibli vibes in it, and the counter person was just lovely. And I think it's sometimes quite difficult because I do get quite excited about books, and we not always match the same excitement. So the bookstore itself had books lined that were related to Ghibli. We even had the latest one with Miyazaki's planning to do movie about, and we also have Kiki's Delivery Service book and Howl's Moving Castle. I thought there was a lot of things related to Ghibli on display, and maybe even books that are quite similar. I did manage to finish one book, and I'm in the middle of the other book at the moment. So I did finish The Everlasting Rose by Danielle Clayton, which was actually quite disappointing. First book was very impressive. There's a lot of confrontations and good dialogues, while this book, main protagonist is mostly hiding Last File is not as much direct confrontation. I think some people will still enjoy it, but that's what I loved in the first book the most, and that's why this was a little bit disappointing. And also the other thing about mentioning about the Everlasting Rose was that they do mention teacup dragons almost in every page, and it could be a drinking game because there's a lot of teacup dragons and there wasn't exactly the point for this story necessarily have them. I think there was better solutions for it. Other book that I'm just started reading is Nevermore, and it's about Morgan Crow, who is cursed to die and then whisked away in a magical world for trials. And I believe there are a fourth book coming next year, so I have a lot to catch up. It's very whimsical, very magical. There's a lot of randomness, but it sort of feels better than in most of the books. It feels like much more imaginative and needed, even though it's rather soft magic system. Also, in the beginning, not to spoil a lot, but this girl, Morgan Crow, she is cursed and she gets loose into this magical world, and she raises a question if the curse followed her. I don't think we follow this line as much as I'm reading. I don't think we follow this line as the curse is following her, which could have been an interesting plot line as well to do, but I think we go in a different direction. The other thing that I do regret, one of the main characters is named Jupiter North, and I do regret that overlap with my pseudonym for YouTube channel, because I think this book is quite known, and some people would probably think I selected it by the book. Graphic novel called Tea Dragon Society, and I did go through all three of them. It has very lovely intersections. The first book has intersections divided by seasons, and it has very slow pace, very beautiful magical drawings, very cute characters, and I believe there is also a card game based on it, which I'm wanting to get. We are going to Chapters today. It's a Canadian alternative to Barnes and Nobles or Waterstones. So we went to Chapters, and I think it's now named Indigo, and we got a unnecessary amount of books, and I want to talk about what did we get from there. My main target was a Book of Magic, Alice Hoffman. I think I wasn't able to get it in UK, and I think there was a little bit of a wait till it would be accessible, and especially in paperback. I think more of the first ones were hardcover, I believe. Might be wrong, but that was my main goal. I keep forgetting to blurb my books, the books I read. So the Book of Magic is a fourth book in the Practical Magic series. Practical Magic has also been made as a movie, and Practical Magic is about Owen's sisters, and the series follow as prequels historically, chronologically. So the third book, The Magic Lessons, which I think was a nominee for a Book of the Year, which was really good book. I think we improve. Each sequel feels better in the sense of writing. And the third book was about their ancestor, Maria. And I felt that was supposed to be the last book, but actually there is a prequel to their ancestor further down the line. And I didn't make a list of what I wanted to get and what is much harder to get in UK, so I just thought I'll surprise myself. And the next thing I got a Tokyo Ever After. I think it's possibly easier to get, but I love the cover and it has the lovely sticker of indigo, which I think is very good and thematic for it. And it wasn't on my wish list to read, but I did have casted my eye before on it, so I thought I'll give a try. So the blurb for Tokyo Ever After is Izumi Tanaka has never really fit in. It's not easy being a Japanese American in a small, mostly white Northern California town raised by a single mother. Izumi, or easy because it's easier this way, has always felt it's been her and her mom against the world. But then Izumi discovers a clue to her previous unknown father's identity, and he's none other than the Crown Prince of Japan, which means outspoken, irrelevant, Izzy is literally a princess. In a whirlwind, Izumi travels to Japan to meet with a father she never knew and discover the country she always dreamed of. But being a princess isn't all ball gowns and tiaras, where conniving cousins, a hungry press, a scowling but handsome bodyguard who just might be her soulmate, and thousands of years of tradition and customs to learn practically overnight. Izumi soon finds herself caught between worlds and between versions of herself. Back home, she was never American enough, and in Japan, she must prove she's Japanese enough. Will Izumi crumble under the weight of the crown, or will she live out her fairy tale happily ever after? It feels like Princess Diaries. Well, I think I originally picked up Tokyo Ever After because I did hear it is about a sort of identity crisis, about being not enough Japanese or not enough American, which I think is very important because there is definitely a generations that struggle with this problem still, and sort of losing own ancestry and own origins, and being in a sense authentic, and losing parts of culture, which I thought I might have heard what this book was about it, but I did pass it possibly after reading the blurb because it wouldn't be my typical read. The other one that I got was, well, I felt like I needed to do at least one middle grade, and the middle grade section was not as great as the fantasy and young adult section. I probably saw more books of young adult what I would want to get, but I decided to give it a pass. And I felt like I do talk a lot about middle grade. I just finished Nevermore, and I needed, I think, at least one middle grade from here. The middle grade section was not that great, and the titles where I saw there were mostly widely accessible and like quite known. And a lot of the titles, even though I haven't read a lot of things, I still want to go through, like Winter House and Pages and Co. And other things, but they all a series, so I wanted to take something that could be a standalone. Sadly, everything looked like series, so I got the Wild Robot because it just has this Iron Giant and Ghibli vibes, and it's just so cute. The design looks very much what we do around Waterstones. It looks similar to like PAX, and I felt like it's probably is easy to get. It does have a second book, but I thought I'll give it a go with this one. It just was too adorable. So that's a dust jacket, but under the dust jacket, somehow the books are a bit more boring. So under the dust jacket, we have this robot, which is very cute. Oh, actually, Tokyo Ever After is also a dust jacket. Let me just see what is under it. Okay, so it's sort of a building. I think it's a building there. The wild robot. Where can a robot survive in the wilderness? Then Robot Rose opens her eyes for the first time. She discovers that she's alone on a remote wild island. She has no idea how she got there or what her purpose is, but she knows she needs to survive. After battling a fierce storm and escaping a vicious bear attacks, she realizes that her only hope for survival is to adapt to her surroundings and learn from the island's unwelcoming animal inhabitants. As Rose slowly befriends the animals, the island starts to feel like home until one day the robot's mysterious past comes back to haunt her. From best-selling and award-winning author illustrator Peter Brown comes a heartwarming and action-packed novel about what happens when nature and technology collide. So yeah, the wild robot. Sounds cute. My boyfriend got a Rise of Kyoshi from Avatar novel in a box edition, so there's 2 of them in there. And again, I felt like it was not that hard to get in UK. And the other thing, there was so the biggest regret that I have is my boyfriend was my partner was saying, but I do like writing supplies and journals and all that sort of thing. It was at the calendar, and we thought, oh, it's off the season, and it was labeled being discounted and for sale. And then I liked a different one for his design, and he picked it, but he didn't check the price, so we paid the full price for something that is out of season and we're not necessarily needing it. So that was the biggest regret.